Ba-da-da. Mission Impossible, everybody. Welcome to Birch and Birch.
We definitely don't have the money to pay for that. What the Friday?
Welcome to What the Friday.
To Birch and Birch's The podcast is called What the Friday, and then colon Birch and Birch. Welcome to it. Okay,
colon being the key word.
Ew. We have a juicy title today. It is murderers, leaders, and weight loss. What do they all have in common? And how to change our self-perception, because we've been thinking about that, talking about that. We don't share a brain. We've been talking about that yesterday when we went to get coffee. And you had such an interesting
well, it started with your comment because you're getting ready to go on this big powwow diet.
Yes, I know, which is, I'm torn on it because it's stupid. I have so many thoughts, but yeah.
I think that's what started our coffee conversation is the stupid crap we do to ourselves.
So stupid. Here's what I do.
How we do stuff. Well, if somebody else were doing it, we would make comments about it, but we do it ourselves and we ignore the fact that we're doing it.
Well, and in my own head, I'm like, this is so stupid. Because what happens is, first of all, I'm not even sure it's smart to go on the diet because I will lose weight. I did it before I broke my ankle and I lost weight and I looked great. But by our standard food beauty standards or whatever. But the problem is it takes a lot of work and it's hard and it's not sustainable. And I know this, and yet I still do it. So then I'm like in this cycle where I don't want to see anybody or be seen by anybody until I go back to like my prime, the way I look at my prime. So but then I'm hiding from life.
So to be clear, you can gain weight and be heavier than you want to be. Yeah. And you can be very outgoing, engaging, doing a great job.
In the process of gaining weight, I'll while I'm on the upward trajectory while gaining weight, I'm still like, let's go out and have a good time. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to see clients. I'm going to do things and live life.
And it works.
And it works.
And you have a great time. And then all of a sudden the switch goes off. You're like, I'm going to lose weight.
Yeah. I see a photo or two, or I see myself. I'm like, no. And then.
But then you want it's like blackout. It's like you've gone around the backside of the moon and there's no communication. Why is that? Why is it okay up until that point? And then as soon as you decide you're going to be on a diet, it's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be seen by anybody.
Right. That's why I left. That's why we got coffee yesterday, because I called you and I was like, you go get coffee with me. I have to get out because I've trapped myself in my own head with this really stupid belief system that I want to hide until I look great, because I don't want to meet anybody until I can wow them or something. I don't fully understand it still, because I don't know. Does anyone else have this?
That's kind of a weird thing. It's funny. Everybody's got their stuff that they deal with and their little macros in their head on how they deal with things.
I think people do that financially too. Like, it's black or white. I'm going to do absolutely nothing until I reach a certain dollar point, or I won't go out on any dates until I reach a certain amount of income and success. I do that. I do that in every field.
I mean, people have rules, like personal rules.
Yeah. Well, that they make up flippantly. And then it feels like, okay, that's it. I'm going to go into this dark vortex of focus on this goal. And then I'm going to come out the other side, or I'm going to reach a point where I'll finally feel good enough to live life.
It's
a weird, and that's where we started talking about self-perception, because it's perceiving yourself. The problem with goals, there are pros to goals, which is, it sets you on a path, where you're headed. There's excitement for that hope. Mm-hmm. But the problem with them is that when you're focused on the goal of like losing weight or making money or whatever the goal is, it's very hard not to get focused on the gap between where you are now and where you wish you were, and get caught up in the.
Do you think that gap is a big reason why people don't finish and why they don't accomplish their goal? Because 100%. All of a sudden they focus on the gap. That's what they see. And then they're like, oh, look at this gap. This is bad. This is a bad thing.
This hurts too much to look at the gap. I'd rather ignore it and just be happy with what I have now.
Right, and it makes it seem like it's insurmountable because your measuring tape or your ruler is
Yeah.
as long as the gap, and it's
Yeah.
not seeing past it. It's not seeing before it. It's just like, this is life. This gap is my life,
I
and
think,
it's terrible.
well, I think, yeah, because it's that whole journey versus the destination, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
I've been battling that. How do you choose a destination that you're going to love the journey on the way to getting there? Um, and I, and I think that's the problem. The gap feels like the journey, and the journey just is like, oh man, why would I choose to feel not good enough all the time? This is exhausting. But there's a way around it.
You're just saying that in general. You're not saying that you have the way around it. You're just saying that there is a way around it.
No, I actually do think I have the way around it. The only thing that works for me, like
Notice my
calling
face.
you.
If you're watching this, notice my face.
I do. Hold on, Miss Skeptical. Hold on. So, I
You
have
always
one
feel like
way.
you've got the plan in
I
the
will.
moment, and you'll totally, whatever you are in that moment, that's exactly. And then
You're
it's like the next
so.
week you'll be like,
I'm so confident all
yeah,
the time.
I
I'm like
know.
so confident that I'm right
Uh-huh.
every time I make a
Yeah.
decision.
No
It's
matter which side of the pendulum swing you're on, it's like, I'm on this side, but this is
yeah.
the way I'm doing it, and it's working. And then it's like,
The
okay, this
polar
is not
opposite way.
working now.
With equal confidence. I talk about I've
All
changed
the
my mind,
way,
and
all
with
the way
equal
through the
confidence,
swing.
I'm like, this is 100% what should be done, and here's a strong argument for it. Why are you even debating me?
Yeah. And I'm like, well,
It's
don't you think maybe you could
in
do
your
this? And you're like,
situation. Yeah, but
no,
wait.
because if I did, that's what I would be doing. And
Here's
it's
my
not.
overly confident response to that. Here's how I overcome the gap problem. That's what I'm going to call it. Like when I just hate myself for not being what I want to be.
Okay.
The only thing that seems to work is, well, I guess two things. One is changing what it means to win. So
Interesting.
instead of, if I do this perfectly, it's if I get this done. Like I beat 98% of the world. I'm a little competitive, so it helps to do that. I beat 98% of the world just by getting this done. And I got better by getting it done. Just like quantity creates quality. It's not one or the other. It's the more you do it, the better you get at it. So we're starting to create, or at least I'm starting to create a lot of different potential income streams online, like creating these t-shirts on like a random site and doing videos on YouTube. And now I'm like, all right, they don't even have to be good. They just have to be done. I just have to get them done as much as I can get done. And then I'm proud of myself for having finished it instead of beating myself up for not doing it good enough.
Well, there's
I know I'll get better.
a really great point there is the fact that people like to think about things and they feel like by having thought about them, that's actually success in itself, when actually the success is when you've actually done it.
Listening to endless videos on how to do it versus
right.
listen to the video and then go do it immediately.
You'll talk to people that are not getting things done, and they'll say, yeah, I've thought about that. Yeah, I had a plan for that, or I have a plan for this, or I've done that, or and you're like, okay, have you done it? Have you pulled the trigger? Have you posted the video?
Yeah.
Have you done no, not, oh, well, no, I'm kind of waiting. It's like 95%. I always use that analogy of a bridge. A bridge isn't a bridge unless it's complete from one side to the other. If it's missing 1 foot of the bridge at one end or the other, or anywhere in between, if it's missing 1 foot, it's not a bridge.
Yeah,
it's just like a monument or a structure or something. It's a place to walk out and look at the
usable.
water. You can't actually cross it. So you've got to complete the bridge. Did you complete the bridge? Did you create whatever it is and post it online? Did you do the video? Did you do the order form? Did you create the website? Did you execute it?
Yeah.
And then that's the thing. And then, so
just get out there. I mean, I think that the amazing story of this changed the way I think about everything is that in Atomic Habits, there's this example of a professor who grades, a photography professor. He grades half of his class just on the number of photos. He doesn't even grade if they're good or bad. Just the more photos you get, the higher the grade you get. That's it. And the other was based on the top 3 photos. So I'm grading you on the best 3 photos you have. And then at the end of the semester, I'm going to choose the like 5 or 10 best photos out of the whole class, and those guys are going to get awards. So he does that. Every single one of the quantity kids, like the college students who were graded on how many they did, they were the winners for all of the top 10 or however many he chose.
Best photos.
The best photos out of the class were all from quantity kids, not from quality kids. And learning that changed my whole viewpoint on perfectionism and doing things well and like taking pride in my work. It's like, I mean, I would rather do it really poorly, but get it done than keep perfecting.
Right. But I think as a society, we really do struggle with that because we are perfection minded. And, and maybe that's back to the self-identity or self-perception and how we pigeonhole ourselves in a certain mode, like that person that always says, yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah. It's that belief.
And then they got up and went to work, or they do whatever. Maybe
something
they're not working. They do whatever they're always doing.
From actually doing it. It's that perception.
Right. And I think, one of the things we talked about during coffee is that I was thinking about myself and some of the things that I've done. And there have been, I'm struggling to say this because I actually was the CEO of our family of little businesses for a while. So but there have been times when I worked for someone and I could do most of the jobs that the owner was doing, and I could fill in, and he'd say, hey, can you help me do this? Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to be gone. Can I have my phone forwarded to you? Yeah, I can do that. But in the end, I was this low paid individual that was doing the more menial tasks. I could step up and do a higher responsibility task. But then I would revert right back down to my regular thing. And in some cases, that employer would be like, I'm perfectly happy with this because you're willing to do that job and do it for that pay. And you can do a higher level of pay job temporarily and fill in and then go down. So I don't have to pay somebody to do that. Where, then if I leave, they hire someone with a little more horsepower so they can do that job or fill in the gaps that I was filling in. And I think a lot of us do that. I talked to you, I don't want to get too specific, but in the past I had an employee that was, in my opinion, incredibly competent.
Yeah, she just could do anything.
Yeah, and I kept saying, will you consider doing more? No, I don't want to do more. This is what I do. This is what, I'm not comfortable doing more. I'm good in this position. But sure enough, when we had a demand or an urgent need.
I mean, I think you can use some of the specifics because her first role.
I really don't. I don't want to. Don't do it because I know her really well. We worked together for a long time. Okay. And I know that she would not appreciate that.
Okay.
But she was incredibly competent, and she would step up. She would do a higher level responsibility job. But I would say, you can stay in this position. You can stay in this position. I'll pay you more money. It'd be awesome. I'd love for you to do this. No, I don't want to do it. And then she'd swing back down. But eventually she did. I think, she would do it. Then she'd end up doing it for longer. And then she'd be like, all right, I'll do it. And then bump up. And then eventually she ran one of those businesses. And
but it took a long time for her to get there. But it sounded like what needed to happen was that self-perception thing. And this is what I'm really curious about because murderers. You said yesterday.
That's a shift.
Well, we were talking. It's not though. Apparently, we got interrupted by that dude from at the coffee shop that took me up to see his apartment. That sounds so shady. But
well, he knew you were a real estate agent, so he was trying to get it rented.
Anyway, you were like, yeah, kind of makes me think of murderers. And then I had to leave. And now I need to know how that's related. Do you think that the self-perception, what does it take to murder somebody?
Oh, I was just thinking about the fact that, the difference between psychopaths and sociopaths.
Yeah.
Psychopaths basically being born without really having a sense of remorse. Sociopaths having been trained through life experience, not to have as much remorse or negative feelings, and murderers that are just so self-confident that they're like, yeah, I just dig killing people,
Yeah.
And when I said murder, I think I made a point in that conversation. I'm not talking about the guy that's hungry and he broke into a place and he was in the middle of a robbery and something went
An
wrong and he
accident.
shot
That's
somebody.
manslaughter, I think. I think that's
I'm
manslaughter.
talking about somebody that says, I just want to kill somebody,
Right?
and they do, and they're like, well, that was fun, and they don't have any.
Yeah, like a serial killer,
Yeah,
like
they don't have.
Mindhunter.
Yeah, maybe like Mindhunter, but there's a real somewhere in that sociopath, psychopath, which I don't think we can always judge, because I think they cloak themselves in a great exterior. So I'm getting a little off track here, but the point is,
I mean, I'm interested.
is that we all have this set of programming that we've got, and then we cloak ourselves with what we want other people to see us as, which social media is a perfect example of that. And then behind it, there's an operating system that's working, that's a little bit harder for us to want to pay attention to see. And so I think it would, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't want to talk about the person I'm thinking of or the corporation that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
But we talked about it yesterday, and we have some experience in this area. When the CEO of a public company has an incredible.
Oh, there is a specific CEO who like wrote a book on humanitarianism and loving people, and is like all about
super and building a great corporate culture, or seemingly building a great corporate culture, and all of the people involved love that. And then when you look, if you just look at the news, there are a lot of lawsuits
getting sued by everyone for being too aggressive and for being
then
shady.
you kind of, so there are two sides of that, because you see, is it, and then you wonder, or I wonder to myself, is it just playing the game hard, which you have to do, or is it a little more than that, where it's okay? It's and part of that culture is it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay, and I've often used the quote, you don't know how far you can go until you've gone too far. Right. And that might be part of the culture too. You don't know. And there are other companies. Look at the stuff that Donald Trump did. I think he's been around long enough and done enough stuff.
Yeah, there's so many stories of him being pretty across the line.
Yeah.
It's just like not doing what his contract said.
Yeah. Well, that was then. This is now. This is a different deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have an agreement. We have a contract.
And he's like,
of course, we have an inside track because we're in an area where we actually know people that have been in those situations, and we're like, no, I got screwed. And we had a contract, and basically it was just a sue me type of thing.
Yep.
So anyway,
wait, I have a question.
Really interesting.
So if somebody, do you believe that people have like a true self? You know how if you have somebody, because I hear this a lot. So you have somebody who's like this dude we're talking about, the CEO who acts humanitarian, talks a great
and very well
game.
Very well maybe.
And then at the same time gets sued left and right and seems to be crossing lines that don't seem like things someone with integrity would do. And I often, when I talk to people about that, like about individuals, they're like, well, is this the real them, or is that the real them? Like, which one is who they really are? Who are they really? Do you think that we actually have a true self? Do you think that's a thing?
No. I think we have a core direction, but not just to get off on a quick little rant, most all of us are always changing. We're always maturing. Every day is more experience.
And not like this
Every
either.
day is, not necessarily like that.
Do they just eat? Do they sleep?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because the amount that I value how you feel is so much lower when I haven't slept.
Yeah.
And that's wild, because it shouldn't change, but it definitely changes.
It does. It changes. Our glasses change with the mood and our direction.
Yeah.
What I do believe is that the key is just to get up and try, and your path may change that day because of your mood. You may wander. It's like going into going into a mall. You don't know typically you don't know exactly where you're going or exactly what you're doing, but you kind of know. So you drift through, and then something catches your eye and you go that way, and then something catches your eye and you go this way, and then all of a sudden you find something you didn't expect, so you buy that, and then you
but
do something else. And
that's such a funny analogy for life. Life is like a mall.
It is kind of.
There are a lot of stores. Well, it's just very it just makes me think of how privileged, what a privileged perspective that is.
That's true.
Because
now you're making me feel bad.
No, I don't think it's just us.
It is a privileged perspective, but it's a long
being
journey.
In America, I mean, you have a lot of options. It's like, do I try to go on? Because there are a lot of zero cost e-commerce options for trying to make money. There's like all kinds of options for making money if you're open-minded enough to try them, and you've got the work ethic or the vision to like grind it out and fail at all 98% of them. But
oh, you're giving me a lot of material to work with that I can't really use.
Why?
So, a lot of online businesses that you can make money if you just grind it out.
OnlyFans.
which you introduced. Okay, what was the story? I didn't know what that was, and you told me what it was, and I looked it up while we were in the.
Yeah.
We were in a meeting, or we were in some kind of online meeting.
I got it. And I got an. Somebody asked me what my OnlyFans was, and I was like, thank you.
Like, what?
And you said that looks like a great idea. When you first Googled it, you're like, looks like a great idea. Then you found out that most of the people on there are sexual.
Yeah, I thought it was a celebrity thing. Like if you were.
It is. It's just. It is. It's just mostly a very specific type of celebrity.
Yeah, I was like, get in there, and I'm like, oh, there's male and female movie celebrities that are on there that you follow them, and it's like, I don't think I'd want to pay like so much a month to know what Ryan Reynolds is. Who would pay for that? I guess a really good fan would.
Yeah,
I don't remember. It was
anyway.
I just pulled a name out of there.
Anyway,
he's not on there. Did you look for him?
No, but I doubt he's on there. I don't have a subscription to OnlyFans. Anyway, all I'm saying is that there's a lot of opportunity here if we can train our minds and like perspective and all that stuff. And so you can. And actually, maybe that's just showing your healthy mindset, because if you view life as a mall and you can go here, you can go there, like the world is your oyster, then you kind of create that reality, because reality perception is reality.
Unless you're like me and you prefer McDonald's. And you're like, all of this great food is out there, all of these opportunities, I could go anywhere. But I think I'll just start at McDonald's again. It's easy and it's cheap, and
you can choose it. Yeah, but I mean, that's it's a really good example of how your mind is wired and how to look at things. Because I think a lot of people look at big decisions like I have to choose a career. That was the thing I was thinking about recently, like looking at my future and trying to decide, how do I set it up in a way that I'm really happy with? And it was this huge, heavy decision. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then I realized I'm not deciding for the forever. I'm just going to keep pushing forward and see what works. It doesn't have to be a decision like being a lawyer. Okay, I'll go to law school and I'll get my degree, and then I'll be a lawyer and I'll be this kind of lawyer. And it feels like you're like going down a very straight path to each thing is preset. But even in becoming a lawyer, I mean, even that's not preset. You go to law school for 3 years, and then what kind and where do you go and what city? And there's so much variety and nothing is set in stone. So like the amount of flexibility in the world is.
Do you think that's a problem? I've got a question for you.
Okay.
I don't have the memory that you do, but I know I saw something that basically was asking, were we really better off when our course was more predetermined? So like you would grow up and you would become like an attorney, because that's kind of the direction your family.
What? Give me an era when our course was more predetermined, like
20s, 30s, 40s. even the 50s.
1920s, 30s,
Yeah,
40s.
when people
Oh, so not
when
that long ago. Not like
not that long ago, but you
feudal
would
lords and peasants. Not like that.
no, no, I mean when parents had more influence and
Yeah.
and you tended to make up your mind early and you said, "Okay,
Then you go
guess
into
I'm
a
gonna grow up and I'm
career
gonna
and
be
stuck.
a blank."
And then
And
you work there for 25 years
and you do it, yeah,
at
and
least.
you do it just because you do it, and maybe there's stuff you don't like about your job, but people really don't think about it a lot, and they didn't flippantly say, "This isn't for me. I'm just gonna go do something else." A lot of times they're
Mhm,
like, "Well, they made commitments to get married much earlier, they made commitments
mhm.
to have kids much earlier,
There were
they
less
committed to
opportunities
this."
for making money too. You have to put
That's
in up
probably true.
so much upfront cost to
Mhm.
any money-making endeavor that you were attempting.
Right. Although that was much lower
There's a lot
as
of
a
freedom
percentage
now.
of your annual income, I think, but I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Do you
Do
think?
I think we were better off then?
Yeah, because the
No, not at all. There's a reason we don't do that now. Every generation is doing that less, and it's
right.
because we look at the generation before being like, we have
So
one life, even if
why
you
are
believe in
suicides per capita higher now, if that's true?
I don't think that has to do with your career. I think that has to do with that's a great question.
I think it has to do with mindset, and I think mindset is part of those. Maybe not all, but mindset is a big part of that, and the way your mindset works. Same thing with family, same thing with
Yeah.
belief systems. Um, I I wonder if freedom, total freedom, or increasing
Yeah.
freedom to think and act the way you want to stimulates a greater sense of insecurity and greater lack of confidence
I
because all
think
of a sudden you don't know
mm,
there's too much food on the buffet and you don't know which one you really want, and it's depressing because you can only do so much of it and maybe you're choosing
interesting.
the wrong thing.
I don't think
And
that okay. I
let
see
me
that.
have it.
I see that. No, no, no. I see that. But I think the layer under it is that we are, at least I am, meaning searching people. We need to have purpose to our life. It's really wild that our entire species, or a lot of us in our species, ask the question, why am I here? Like, why is my life worth living? Every other creature is like fighting for survival. And we're not doing that.
Well,
Uh,
why is it worth living when you can do absolutely anything and it's hard to know which one's better
and
than
I
the
think
other
that's
one
the underlying thing
or to
because I also think
feel grateful for what you got?
I think the reason that we are like that and have all of this indecision and ask questions like that is because we don't feel necessary. We don't feel necessary to anyone's life. So I think suicide rates go up so much higher when we're isolated because we don't have the connection and the intimate bond and the even if a person in your tribe makes fun of you all the time, but you still go out and you hunt the buffalo together, the making fun of you doesn't really matter because if you can still be part of the team that hunts the buffalo, we're good. It's kind of like the army mentality of ragging on the person next to you, but you know you can trust them still. And now because we're not necessary to any organization, we're not necessary to each other, we feel like why am I even alive? Like what's the point? That I think
Mhm.
it's the isolation. I think that's the problem. Not having those deep meaningful connections. And I hadn't thought about all the things you said which are so true of that's where the indecision comes from. Like, I want my life to mean something. So what do I choose next? And okay, I want to make money, but then like, what do I do? Why?
Yeah, I would I would like to talk about in another What the Friday
Yeah.
the difference between I know this is not going to sound like it's a great connection. The difference between wealth creation and service businesses, and do you feel a greater sense of value when you're truly creating wealth
Mm.
versus when you're providing service to other people? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't
Because
know.
there
That's a
are
good
people that
question.
seem really satisfied with life when they're a part of mining things, growing things, or manufacturing things.
Yeah.
Like
I
think about
mean,
Etsy, think about, artists are actually creators.
yeah.
When you go to
You have
some
to
people,
get in
like
their
I get a,
heads, though. How do you know how they feel?
I don't know, it's an interesting, I just wonder if people that are actually creating gross domestic product go home at the end of the day, and even if everything's not perfect, if they don't have something, so well, at least I'm doing something. Today I helped make X number of cars,
Yeah.
or today I worked on this jewelry that's going to be sold and make these
Yeah.
people happy, or like my brother Bob, today I made this many glass pieces that are going to
Yeah.
go in people's homes and make them happier, versus today I did this work to get information to someone so that they might, if they use the information that I gave them, they might have a better life. They might not. You never know.
Yeah. I don't know.
So there's such an
It's
intangible to service
service-based.
style businesses, and
But there's also a connection there that you don't always get when
true.
when you're creating
Yeah, there's an
something.
interpersonal connection with the people that you're serving.
Well, yeah, when you really help somebody through an emotional time, that is
So,
one of the most validating experiences
interesting.
in the world. But also yesterday working together on my closet made me so happy and fulfilled. I was like covered in paint and I was so proud of myself.
And your closet looks great.
My closet looks so good. So anyway, okay, that's our What the Friday episode this week.
Let's wrap it up.
Give us a comment. Tell us what you think. Like, subscribe, and follow. Also, I just put up my first real YouTube video on my channel, which I don't even know how to link or tell you about. So, so never mind. Okay, bye.
Goodbye. Shake and bake.
Shake and bake. I love you.
Love you too.